Well, hello there, and welcome to Unbelievably episode 12, where we spit in the eye of God and say, we continue to make these episodes in spite of everything that blocks us to do it. I'm just kidding. But anyway, welcome to episode 12. My name is Dean Kinzer. I am the president of Kinzer Coins and a part-time podcaster. And with me, as always, is Josh Benevento, owner of JLB Coins and man of many talents. How are you doing today, Josh?
Hey, we're doing great, Dean. It's been a long month. Sorry, it's been a little bit a long time between this episode and the last episode. I had some family stuff come up, but that's all taken care of now, and we're just moving forward. And it's great to be here. It's great to be in episode 12. I can't believe we're at 12 episodes already. I mean, we talked about doing this podcast last January.
That's right.
And I think we've put our first one in February. So
yeah,
we're doing pretty good, I think. We've got 12 solid interviews. This week, we're going to do our interview with Kyle Ponterio. So that's going to go great. Yeah, it's just been a good time, and I'm excited about the January auctions coming up, and excited about our fun show coming up.
That's right. Well, we have lots to talk about, so we're going to start this episode off with a few open dialogue conversations. We're going to talk about some of the things that are coming up here in the near future. Obviously, it's big auction and coin show season. For those of you who are avid collectors, January brings about the New York International Coin Show, which is a big deal. It is specifically ancient and world. So a lot of times you'll go to these shows and ancient will be, over by us, by the bathrooms, in the corner of the building. But in this case, at New York, we are the stars of the show. So ancient coins are everywhere. All of the main players are there. Shanna, Aaron, Mike, you name it. They're all there. Dr. Keith Candiotti and some of the other favorites that we have. So that's definitely, now usually Josh and I would go. This year we chose another route for another show that's coming up the week before New York, and that's in Florida. And that is the Fun Show. And so Josh and I are going to be at the Fun Show in Orlando the week of the 8th. Is that correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Yep.
It's the week of the 8th, 4 days long.
Yeah. And so we'll be down there peddling our wares as usual. And at the same time, we will be looking for you guys to come by and say hello and talk to and just, have a good time. As much about selling coins as it is about getting to know the people that are either paying attention here or on the website, or just like talking about ancient coins in general. Josh, I know you're excited. Are we over by the snack booth? Is that correct?
I believe so. We're on the outskirts where we got the tumbleweeds coming through, although this is Florida, so I don't know. Maybe it'll be the Gators.
Panthers?
Well, we'll be out by the Panthers. That's it. But no, I think we're table 253, I believe it is. And we're right in the midst of it. There's a good amount of dealers. I've gone through, seen the list of dealers coming. There's several international dealers that are coming that I wasn't expecting to see at this show. Like Gorney is going to be there.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't expect to see him because he'll be at New York. But didn't expect him to come to Florida the week before. Then there's a couple other dealers that are always at the New York show that'll be there.
And Perry, we're right next to Perry.
We're right. I think our neighbor behind us is Perry of
our good friend Perry.
Heracles Numismatics. He's got a nice Vcoin store as well.
He does. Maybe we can. He's a gentle-spoken guy, but maybe we can twist his arm and talk to him for a few minutes while we're there.
That would be great.
Definitely a guy you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But we'll look forward to seeing all of our favorites there. And then is there any other shows that I'm missing that are kind of top of the year, or is that really off the top of our head?
Top of the year, those are the two big ones. The one right after that is the big one is the Central States show.
That's in April, right?
That's in April. There's another show that happens in the spring as well that's fairly large, is the Michigan Numismatic Society. They do their big show. It's a 2 or 3 day show. that they do right north of Detroit, and that brings a lot of people there. I know James Beach is always there.
James Beach, yeah,
so
another guy.
He'll be at Florida too.
Always. So whenever you see James, you always, I don't know if he still has them, but he used to have a huge AES Grav or Osgrav collection. It was just stellar. So anyway.
Those were his father's, I believe.
Yeah. Incredible collection. So we have that. And then since it's the end of the year and we're coming up on January 1st, we wanted to kind of reflect on 2024 and talk a little bit about what did we what was the best coin that we got, and then maybe just a little recap of things that you're proud of that you did in 2024. Josh, you obviously have a ton of things. I mean, obviously you sung at the Lyric for the first time, right? And has just been...
Well, that was in 23, actually.
That was what?
That was 23.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, you did have shows this year. Yeah, that's right. But you have a lot to be thankful for, and then you have obviously your top coin of the year. So go ahead and lay it on us.
Well, so things to be thankful for. I mean, I guess the number one thing for me would be I got married this year. Yeah. So that happened back in April, and just very happy and very excited about that. Very excited about spending the holidays with my now wife. So really looking forward to that. That was a great part of this year. As far as coins go, there was several really, really, really nice coins that I picked up for myself this year, and it was hard to narrow it down. I was texting with Dean earlier, telling him I can't narrow it down, but I think I decided to narrow it down to one Ptolemaic coin. And actually, it's a common coin that I already had owned more than one copy of. However, this one is really, really a superb example. And I'll show it up here on the screen. It's Ptolemy III. It's a dram. It comes in at just under 70 grams. It's nice, big flan, 43 millimeters. It's got the head of Zeus Ammon on the obverse, and on the reverse, it's got the eagle with the closed wings, standing on the thunderbolt. And in the control mark for this one is the key row, that little XP looking thing underneath his legs and the back there. Yeah, so that was my coin. It's a fantastic example. It's got a little bit of a flan crack, but that was in flan production, so that really doesn't do anything to the coin. It's beautifully centered. You could see the ring around the whole thing. The whole legend's there. The portrait is just a beautiful strike, and I love it. So I ended up selling a couple of the other coins that I had that were similar, and then I'm keeping this one. So
that's right. Well, and I got to tell you, that's one of the best Ptolemy bronzes that I have seen. It's just really remarkable. And then you left the runner up, but I think it's pretty neat. Is the other Ptolemy you got from the same guy?
Oh yeah. So that's a really nice silver tetrachram. It's a late type. However, the portrait style is the finest style, and they really are hard to find that specific year. And hopefully someday Lorber Ptolemaic Coins Part 2 will actually come out. It's been promised for the last couple years. They were happy to take my almost $500 to pre-order the book, which 3 months later got an email saying it's been delayed for another year. So, but at least they gave me my money back.
That's right.
So, hopefully before the end of the decade, we'll be able to get Ptolemaic Coins Part 2.
Well, that's right.
However, I believe that this coin might be a portrait die. So if it is a portrait die of Ptolemy the Eighth, that would be really nice, really special to have. So
yeah. Well, they're both incredible, and I'm really glad you got them, and I'm glad you shared them with us. 2024 has definitely been a great year for me. This all transpired it was kind of in my head on my way to New York City. And, I had made a plan to get with Josh, with Constantine, with Tyler, with all of the great guys that I know and I just went up to Josh and I was like, we need to do a podcast, man. And that's really where that's how it started. And then from there, obviously, I'm just really grateful that I got Josh, with me, faithful companion. And then, just a really good year in terms of things kind of coming together. For the coins, my coin of the year isn't so much about the coin itself. It's a stellar version. But if Josh thinks back with me to the last day of the coin show in Chicago, the A&A, and as I'm packing up, one gentleman, Mr. Keith Candiotti, comes and finds me because he did not know where my table was, and then said, "Hey, I've been holding this for a week for you. I didn't know if you'd be here, even though I was not far from him. You can have this if you can pay it now. I'm leaving soon." And so he did. And of course, I couldn't resist. So anyway, it's my Smyrna Tyche, beautiful tetragram.
Yeah, it's a beautiful coin.
I don't know how to look at that. Look at the. I mean, it's like it's never been used.
Stunning.
So every little hair is there. It's just a beautiful coin. And I was, sometimes you have people that look out for you if you have a certain type. I'm one of those types I don't have just what I want. I have what Josh wants or what Eric K wants or whatever. So I'm always looking for everybody because there's great satisfaction in finding something somebody wants, even if it's not yours. So I enjoy doing that. But, some people, will look out for you. And Keith is, a fantastic dealer, somebody you should absolutely get to know. Definitely is hard on the pricing, but you can wiggle back and forth with him. But that was definitely the best coin experience I had of the year.
It's an awesome coin, man.
So, and then what else we got? Okay, so the other thing that we obviously we have Kyle coming up in the interview here. Kyle is somebody that works for Stax Bowers or has relationships with Stax Bowers, obviously, but is very interested in Visigothic coins. And is going to talk a little bit about his collection of Visigothic coins and his interest. Certainly something worth listening to as we go into it. Josh, what's it called? Anything exciting lead up to Kyle, or do you want to just let us go?
Oh, I think we should just hop right into it. The interesting thing that he does share about is his father's history with Stax and stuff. So it's really quite interesting and fascinating to listen to. So with that being said, let's hop into the interview.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are here, and we are joined by Kyle Ponterio from Stax Bowers. He is the senior numismatist and consignments director for Stax. He has obviously been in coin collecting and all of those areas for a long, long time. He says since the womb. Stax Bowers is a fantastic auction house, similar to CNG, similar to Heritage, all of the other people that we've talked to, just a different brand name and different service offerings that they have. But Kyle's come here not only to talk about his role at Stax Bowers, but he happens to be a Visigoth fan, somebody that has a great interest in Visigoth coins and wants to share a little bit about that. So we'll open up a discussion on that. We are definitely need a little bit of schooling in that area because we're probably more traditional Greek Roman. So we look forward to that conversation. But with that being said, Kyle, thank you so much for coming aboard. We're a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Well, can you do us a favor since we don't know you very well? Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got involved in Stax Bowers? Because I think that's a very interesting story.
Sure. So, my brother Kent Ponterio and I are third generation coin dealers, but not in the traditional sense. My father was the first coin dealer in the family, and then when his father retired, he went to work for him. And then, as kids, every single one of my siblings has worked for my father at one point or another. My brother and I are the only two that have stuck with it. My brother Kent and I are the only two that stuck with it. And so I started, as a child, I worked for my dad doing, menial tasks, stuffing envelopes, went to school, did not get my degree, but I've always loved history. And in 2005, my dad said, "What are you doing?" "I don't know." "Good, you're coming to work for me." "Well, what if I don't want to?" "You don't have a choice." "All right, I'll see you on Monday." And so, um, he put me to work in the shipping department, shipping out packages. I was also sealing, doing lot labeling, putting up lots, and I was also tasked with cleaning toilets and other things like that. Um,
Every
but
numismatist's dream.
of course, how could it not be? Um, and you know, I always fought coin collecting and numismatics when I was growing up. I was like, "Dad, I don't want to do that. That's my dad's thing." Yeah. And when I finally did start working for him full time in the shipping department, I actually discovered that I had a real aptitude for it. And I've always loved history. I used to watch a lot of history documentaries with my father. Um, and I started really getting into it and, learning little bits here and there but not really doing anything with it. And then when my father sold his company in 2008 to Spectrum Numismatics, who owned Bowers and Morena, they retained us, my brother, my father, and I, and my mother, to run the World Coin Division. And my brother and father are world-renowned experts in world coins, specifically Latin America and Asia. And I was still very new. And so started working for them, and I decided to pick something that they knew some stuff about, but were not like really, really deep in the weeds on it. And I decided to study countermarks. And countermarks I thought were fascinating. They're like a passport. You can physically see where a coin has been. And that you can theoretically trace its route to where it got there. So that was just absolutely fascinating for me. And so the coin that really got me going on that was a Mexican cob. I think it was a Philip V. I don't remember. This was 20 years ago almost.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a Mexican cob, I think a Philip V, that went down to Brazil, got countermarked for use in Brazil. So it had a higher face value in Brazil than it did outside of the country. It was revalidated to 600 Hays. And then it made its way to Indonesia and was buried in a hoard of cobs there. And each one of the cobs had little sunburst or flower countermarks on them. And this was the only cob that had a Brazilian countermark on it. And I was like, wow, that's really fascinating. It made it all the you could theoretically trace how it got there. Started in Mexico and then, went down to Brazil and got countermarked in Rio and then went around the Horn and across the Pacific for the galleon trade. And then, probably traveled through the Philippines and then was dispersed from there and ended up in Indonesia. That was really cool. So I kicked myself because I didn't buy it at the time. It was $300 and I couldn't afford it.
Oh no.
Dude, oh man. So that's the one coin I talk about all the time when I talk about what got me started. So I started getting really, really deep into it, and I wanted to know what was going on in a particular place that was so dire that they needed to mutilate their coins, that they needed to mutilate other people's coins. And so that's what I did. I started tracking down, books and, documents and coins and catalogs and going to institutional collections to look at their collections. Like I've been to the British Museum. I've been to the ANS. I've been to the ANA. Looking at other collections online, and just going so far down the rabbit hole. There's no coming back.
Yeah.
Then, so my dad sold his company in 2008 to Spectrum, and there was Bowers and Morena for the auction company, and we were Ponterio and Associates, a division of Bowers and Morena. Then in 2011, we bought Stax Galleries, Stax out of New York, and we changed the name to Stax Bowers Galleries for our domestic sales, and Stax Bowers and Ponterio for our Hong Kong office, because there are words for Stax Bowers, but there's no word for Ponterio in Chinese. So yeah, we we did that. We kept the name as Stax Bowers and Ponterio for Hong Kong, and Stax Bowers Galleries for domestic sales. And I built a pretty darn good collection of countermarks. I sold them in 2020, and I focused on rarity and quality, and it outperformed my wildest dreams when I sold it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so now I'm here. It's 2024, November 2024, and about 3 years ago, I was looking through my brother's inventory at the ANA, and I came across an Enrique fourth, I think it is, Real in Mint State 65. I was like, wow,
Wow.
I don't know anything about this coin, and this is amazing. This is a medieval hammered coin. Like, that's incredible. And I passed it, went through the rest of the box, didn't pull anything out because I kept thinking about that stupid coin. And I get done with the box, I pull it out, I was like, okay, I don't know anything about this. How much is this? He's like, that's great, isn't it? I was like, it is. So I bought it for inventory. A couple weeks later, I kept thinking about it. So I bought it out of inventory. And in the state of California, they just changed it, but the state of California, it used to be on numismatic or coin orders, or bullion orders under $1,500, there's sales tax. And I didn't want to give the state sales tax, so I told him, I was like, "Look, man, I bought it for 1,100. I'll give the company $1,500." And he's like, you could just mark it up 10%, right? I was like, I don't care. I don't want to give the state the sales tax. So I purposely paid, $1,500 for it so they wouldn't send sales tax to the company. And he's like, God bless you. I wish more people thought like that. So that again sent me down the rabbit hole of collecting, initially collecting Spanish coins, hammered medieval Spanish coins, and I started looking into it a little further and realized that some of the Portuguese rulers struck coins in Spain as well. So I was like, well, I should probably collect those guys. So I started collecting Portuguese, hammered Portuguese, and I hadn't really defined where my starting point on this was, but I knew I was stopping at 1492. Because that coincides with the discovery of the New World. It coincides with the Reconquista, where the Christians kicked out the Muslims and the Jews from the Iberian Peninsula. It was really weird phenomenon, because when they kicked out the Muslims are like, wait a second, you're kicking out all your smart people, your mathematicians, your scientists. Well, we'll take them. And so, and the Reconquista, basically set them back a few hundred years because they got rid of all the smart people.
Interesting.
And so I was collecting that, and I was like, well, I can go back to Visigoths. I can do Visigoths. And so I started collecting Visigoths. I have like 7 pieces now. And I was like, well, if I'm collecting Visigoths and the Catholic kings and Portugal, I should probably collect the Islamic area too. So now I collect the whole Iberian Peninsula from Visigoths up to 1492. There, I would collect Suevic coins, but those are really rare and
Are
really
they?
expensive. Oh yeah, they're like pre-Visigoths in the northern part of the Iberian, western part of the Iberian Peninsula, and they look very similar to late Byzantine coins.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
we were, talking about the early Visigoths, and I mean, they're they're pretty
Are there
incredible
are there, are
coins.
there certain I'm not actually not specific. I'm not familiar with them.
Well,
Those
Josh,
specifically.
before
Yeah,
we go into that, how about can you, Kyle? Can you do us just a quick favor since we talked about stacks and all that kind of stuff?
Sure,
If a collector is interested in either consigning or participating in a stacks Bowers auction, uh, can you give us some recommendations how they get involved, how they get to turn coins into you, so you can turn around and auction them?
sure. So you can go to our website, stacksbowers.com, and there's a page. Let's see here. It is. I'll tell you in just a moment. Um, okay, you can go to our contact page, and there's a bunch of drop downs with services and um, sell consign. There's a sell consign drop down so to consign coins and paper money, sell directly, how to sell at auction, and a few other things. So that's if you know just to contact someone generally, go into the info box and get distributed to the right person. They can reach out to specific departments or specific people if they go to the contact us and about us page and look for people specifically. Or you can reach out to me directly. Uh, my email address is kyponterio. It's all one word at stacksbowers.com.
Excellent. And then I
So,
just real quick, what do you think? So we've been asking, Zach from Heritage and Mike and all these guys, Aaron Burke, what their I guess competitive advantage or what you feel like is a strength of Stacks Bowers against kind of the rest of everybody. So from what your experience, obviously growing up in the company and then being a part of it, a big part of it, what is it that you think Stacks and Bowers does better than the competition? Why should somebody consign with you or buy from you?
well, each of the companies, us, Heritage, C&G, even the European firms, they all have their strengths and weaknesses. And, we have excellent photography. We've got an excellent photography department. One of the things that we do, and Heritage does something similar to this, but we do coins in motion, and it's a fantastic system that we have, where even though it's a still photo, the way that it's shot gives the appearance that the coin is rotating, and you can see the luster and
Oh,
um, boy, that is really, really top-notch technology. Um, let's see. For world and ancient coins, we do something when we have online only sales. So there's no major venue involved in like the New York International or the ANA. It's just a standalone online sale. For World and Ancients, we actually have a live auctioneer calling the auction and interacting with bidders.
neat.
So it gives it a big venue feel in an
Nice.
online venue.
Yeah.
And, that is none of our competitors are doing that. Um, I mean, not here, not in Europe. Um, so that is something that, on the smaller venues that we're doing that no one else is doing. And I personally, I really like that aspect of it. In terms of the bigger venues like New York or A&A or any other large venue where you travel to and set up and lot view and you hold the auction there, um, we're really good at academic cataloging, in terms of like doing the research. C&G does really good with academic cataloging and research as well. Um, we've got one of the best numismatic libraries in the country, working numismatic libraries. And what I mean by working is when my father built this library, and we've continued to add to it, um, he was not into buying antiquated books. He was buying books that were useful, that if they'd been superseded by something, he bought the superseded version of it, because he was looking for the information. He wasn't looking for a book collection. He was looking for, how do I catalog this strange looking coin, and he'd have to learn about it. He'd have to learn how to decipher it. And so by doing that, this was pre-internet, there was no coin archives or eBay or WorthPoint or Invaluable or anything like that. It was, you either had the knowledge in your head and you knew what you were looking at, or you knew what book to look in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I have learned a tremendous amount by sitting in the back of the library and just going through auction catalogs and going through old books, like doing research. When I
Mhm.
was, researching countermarks, I would go through hundreds of old auction catalogs and I'd start documenting them. Um, I've done that on countless occasions for when I'm cataloging things, going through books and, okay, what is this? Okay, I know this is German. Okay, let's go through the German. If I couldn't figure out what state it was from, or what area it was from, um, just there's even been coins that I found several 100-year-old provenance on, that people had thrown the provenance away,
Yeah,
and
I believe it.
oh man, and I've actually done that to a couple of coins that were virtually unsaleable. Um, they'd been run through people's auctions, they'd gone unsold, the estimate was way too high, and then I dig up this 200-year-old provenance, and all of a sudden the coin's saleable.
Sure.
It's the same
Yeah, of course it
coin,
is.
but now it's
Yeah,
got a provenance that goes back 200 years.
for sure.
What? I mean, that's pretty cool.
So you're saying that Stax Bauer does a fantastic job of researching your coin and may find out stuff you don't know to make the coin more valuable at auction.
Yeah, I mean, on special items, yes, absolutely. On series that we know really well,
mhm.
yes, we'll do that if we feel that it's necessary.
Sure,
We're not
sure.
going to do it on a $50 coin,
Right.
because that just, it doesn't pay for itself to do something
Oh,
like that.
$50 coin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. So Kyle, I asked this question of pretty much all the ancient auction houses, and it's just for an idea for somebody who's interested in consigning. One
Mhm.
is, from consigning to auction, what do you think is about the lead time to get into an auction? And then second, after the auction, how long does it take you to get paid from your sale?
Sure. So, depending on where we are in the auction cycle, and depending on how much work is involved with an individual consignment, if it needs to get certified, if it doesn't, if it's all group lot material, if it's singles, if it's really obscure, rare, weird things, um, you know, typically speaking, the whole process takes, from the time we receive it, if we get it early enough, to the time that you get paid, is about 6 months. If we get it early enough on the really weird and obscure things, to the time you get paid. On the more straightforward stuff, it's going to be about 3 months or so, 3.5 months.
Okay.
We've got the consignment deadlines about 2 months prior to the auction. The end of catalog production is about 1 month prior to the auction, and then consignor settlement is 45 days from the last date of the auction.
That's good to know.
So
That's best in class, or tied for best in class, which is something that people oftentimes learn the hard way. The only other thing I'll bring up is, so say if somebody is considering consigning, but they need cash now, right?
Yes.
I like to talk very, I like to suggest that people don't go to pawn shops because there's other options. But sometimes people feel like they're in a tough situation and have no way to kind of recoup what they have.
Sure.
How is Stacks in that area?
So we do offer cash advances. And so we look, and it's based on our own evaluations. So we take every consignment if someone wants an advance, and we look at it and see if it makes sense. Um, it's got to hit a certain value threshold,
Sure.
and we will advance up to 60% of our estimate.
That's good too.
Yeah.
Very good.
How often do you have these auctions anyway? There.
Mm-hmm.
So we have, for the general sales, we typically do one in August, in association with the ANA, and then we typically do one in January, associated with the New York International. We also have two auctions in Hong Kong a year, one in April and one in October. And then we have, and these are just for world and ancient coins.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have 3 online only sales, plus I think we have 1 online only sale for Hong Kong. We have 3 general online only sales for world and ancient coins. And then we just added an Islamic sale, and it did pretty good. So we might be adding that and making that an annual thing. So,
Excellent.
yeah, so we have 2, 5, probably 8 auctions, and we're looking to add more.
And that's just in World and Ancient. That's not including your American division.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
The U.S. side of things and the paper money side of things has a different auction schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So we have we do ANA and New York, those 2 auctions for World Paper Money and U.S. Paper Money. For World Paper Money, we also do we do one in Maastricht, and then for U.S. we do ANA. We also do Baltimore 3 times a year, and then I'm not quite sure what other venues we do for that, but we also have weekly sales for U.S. coins. That stuff's typically pretty easy to catalog,
I'm sure.
especially for the online only sales. And then we do also do specialized sales. Like we have every December we have a TAMS auction, so it's tokens and metals, but it's only U.S. related exonumia. And other things with U.S. paper money online only sale, world paper money online only sale. So it's.
So you guys are really pretty active.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so now we've kind of gotten the business out of the way. Let's go to the fun stuff. So we're going to jet back in time, and we're going to go to the Western Roman Empire. In the 370s and 380s, as the climate has changed up north, and we have Germanic tribes coming south and kind of taking over lands, and then eventually conquering Rome, sacking Rome, and then kind of breaking up the empire into a bunch of different parts. And so there's a number of different groups that came from that. We have the Visigoths, the Ostrogoths, and even the Vandals. And so that's not generally an area that is covered very heavily in history, because it kind of represents kind of the end of a formal civilization, particularly the Western Roman Empire, where things are heavily recorded and heavily dated. And there's a lot of information about it. As that empire declined, then it becomes more rudimentary, starting from the ground up, developing those. But as these invaders came to the Roman Empire, the Western Roman Empire, they started to either take on Roman, some of their laws and some of their behaviors, and develop their own. And they stuck around for quite some time. And so
Mhm.
we are very interested to hear, first of all, what about time frame do you find the most interesting in your Visigoth collection?
Oh, so I oh I actually kind of like the later area where
Mm-hmm.
it's like um circa 600, 600
Mm-hmm.
on until it starts getting into the Catholic kings and the Islamic period.
The real
Um
darkness.
The
yeah,
darkest.
and like these are so crude. The beginning of the Visigoths, they look just like Roman coins or imitations of Roman coins because that's what they are. They're imitative Byzantine coins. And then after that, when you get into like Recared first, and then Liuva second, who is directly after him, the style is dramatically different.
Mm-hmm.
My 8-year-old son could do a better job, and it is so fun. Like they're so crude and rudimentary. They're beautiful, and one of the things about them that I find interesting is, you had mentioned that these tribes were taking parts of the Roman history or the Roman culture and utilizing them, the laws. Well, they also did that with the coins too.
Hmm.
So the tremesis is 3.5 grams, you know, and it's a subdivision of like Roman Aurii and then Solidi, and so they kept with that because the weight was known, the purity was good, and so that's what they use. That's what they base it off of. And so I had bought. I'm still relatively new in
Sure.
collecting Visigoths, but I still really like it. I know a few things, and I just bought a Liuva second. I think I sent you a picture of
Yeah, oh
that.
Hmm.
yeah, it was beautiful.
Um, and it's overstruck on another coin. Well, Liuva second he was the second ruler to have coinage like this, the really rudimentary type where they were just like cutting triangles into the coin, and that's what they were using to make the legends,
Yeah.
and that's how you read them. And it's overstruck on another coin. Well, since he was only the second ruler, it's either another issue of his from either a different mint or an unknown variety of from the same mint or something like that, or it's overstruck on an earlier ruler, and the earlier ruler was his brother Recared first,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a pretty interesting piece. I haven't spent the time looking at it under a microscope to see if I could, pull out more information, but all I have really right now is a sideways S that's at the end of the legend. I mean, it gives me a start, but
Hmm. And now, what was the relationship between those two? Was it a bad relationship?
I don't even know.
Oh,
Like
you got to get there.
I am more into the coins and the technical aspect of the
That's right.
coins at this
Yeah.
point
Yeah.
than I am on the historical aspect. I'm looking at like quality, like metal quality, strike quality, how much ghosting is there, if it's got any chips or
Oh yeah.
scratches, or is it fragmented, or is it cracked? And I don't care if it's a super common coin or if it's super rare. I probably won't be able to afford the really rare ones, but I definitely can't afford the really rare ones. Um, but I'm looking for just top-notch quality,
Sure.
Hmm.
and that's what I'm looking for. I've got I have all the reference books at home, like Pliego, which that if you guys don't know that book, Pliego is an absolute monster of a reference book for Visigoths. It
Interesting.
cross-references all of the other books prior to it, and this woman wrote this book as her doctoral thesis.
Hmm.
Hmm.
It's a 2-volume set, and I cannot stress how invaluable this is. It cross references Vico, it cross references Miles, um,
Hmm.
it cross references all of the other books that were done previous to it.
Hmm.
And It has a section on forgeries. It goes into different die variations.
Wow.
It gives you all the legend variations that she knew about.
Wow.
And it's amazing. It
Now,
gives provenance on those.
is that relatively available?
It is.
Okay.
I think it's it's kind of an expensive volume, but totally worth it if it's something you're going to get into.
Hmm.
I think it's around $250 for the 2 volume set. So I mean, it's not out of like reach, but it's
Pretty
not cheap.
standard for coin books or
Yeah,
ancient coin
Yeah.
related books.
reference for
Pretty-
collecting area. That's
pretty
pretty
standard.
normal.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So one of the favorite kind of stories that I like to tell is about my late Byzantine silver and how in the 800s and 900s AD, the Byzantine Empire had shrunk so much that either they had to buy silver from the Islamic nations or overstrike their silver. And I'm curious because the Visigoths in Spain, I think was known very much for, and I think Hannibal and all kinds of people took advantage of the silver mines in Spain. So on Visigoth coinage, is there any silver coinage or is it not? Is it just like pure gold and bronze?
There is very few silver coins
That's
that I've seen
interesting.
from Visigoths.
I-
Even bronzes, even very few bronze coins. Most of the coins you see on the market, if not nearly all of the coins you see on the market that are Visigoths, are gold tremesis.
That's
And
interesting. I wonder if the mines dried up or they didn't know about them. It's just that I definitely remember in history, that was one of the main reasons to go out and get Spain was because the silver mines were pretty significant there. But that's interesting. Obviously the bronzes, anything in Europe in the Dark Ages, bronze is usually bad anyway. I mean, it's usually pretty rudimentary as you talk about. But
That's pretty crude.
yeah,
yeah,
interesting.
there's even some of the late ones like Witteric and Egica and Witteric and Watuza. Those are some of the later last emperors. They start debasing the metal, and the style. Believe it or not, the style gets even more crude.
Wow.
Like,
How is that possible?
I don't know, but it happened. There's one, oh shoot, super rare. Are you guys familiar with Doctor Who?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there's one, I think it might be unique or extremely rare, but the portrait of the ruler looks like a Dalek.
Ha! Well, we'll pop up a Dalek on the screen here.
Yes, definitely.
The show.
Yeah. Interesting.
We can, oh shoot, I don't know if I'll be able to find it. I'll see if I can find it and send you a link to it so then you know what it actually looks like and you could maybe use that.
What
So-
was it about the Visigoths as opposed to the Ostrogoths or the Vandals? I know more about the Vandals because of Belisarius's basically sacking their entire nation with like 5,000 guys. But obviously the Ostrogoths, I think they fought up north by Ravenna with Belisarius, and then I'm trying to think of Narses. But why the Visigoths as opposed to the other two?
So I collect strictly Iberian, and Visigoths are only in Iberia. They're only on the Iberian Peninsula, and so I worked my way backwards to get to them, and now I've got a little over a handful of pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any other areas of ancient coins that you've taken fancy with over time, or is it just primarily
Yes.
this new venture? Yeah.
Oh no. I'm a musician too. I don't play so much these days, but I love music, and I'm a percussionist. And I studied music theory and music history, And one of the areas that I really thought about collecting was Asia Minor, like Ionia, Aeolus, Locri, Phrygia, um, Ionia, Aeolus, Lydia, Phrygia, Locri. Yeah, that's it. And then maybe possibly Crete. And the reason being is Ion Ionia, each of those regions developed their own scales, and that has to do with like ratios of string. You take a string, it's one note, you cut it in half, it's exactly one octave higher. And then you could do it in different ratios. And there was no standard tuning system.
Hmm.
So, are you guys familiar with pianos?
Yeah,
White keys and black keys. So, C to C on a piano is the Ionian scale. Oh, yeah.
it is.
So each of those places, Ionia, Lydia, Phrygia, Locri, you know, those all have their own scales, and those are all known scales today that we use, and they're often referred to as the church modes.
Hmm.
So the Aeolian scale is A to A on the keyboard, all the white keys. Lydia is F to F. So that's I wanted to for a while I wanted to collect only coins from Asia Minor from those places where those scales were developed. And a lot of those coins don't live here in the US, so I'd have to deal with getting them outside from outside the US, and I just didn't want to have to deal with like provenance issues and importing. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to stick with something different. As much as I'd love to do this, and there's a lot of cool coins from these areas, I don't want to have to deal with this.
Your experience in collecting is kind of like the natural progression of things. Whereas you have an interest in one coin type, one history type, and it
Hmm.
leads you down that rabbit hole where you start researching the books on those type of coins, which leads to learning more about the history and the localized history, and maybe some conflicts with another people group or another civilization or another
Hmm.
group of coins where you go, oh hey, let me check these out, and it transitions you to there, and et cetera, where you go down this rabbit hole where you end up becoming a expert or a coin collector of a region
Hmm.
versus just a specific coin type.
Yep.
That's kind of like the natural progression of coin collectors, and it's kind of fun to hear that journey.
Yeah. I'm having a ton of fun collecting it. Collecting, the Visigoths and the Islamic period and the Catholic kings, and it's you look through that collections of that stuff, offerings and people's inventories, and with a lot of medieval coinage, the quality is just terrible. It's just
Yeah.
awful, awful quality. The production value wasn't very high. The manufacturing just wasn't very good. Oftentimes these were very crude issues. They half the time they're only half struck, or they're so weakly struck that you look at it wrong and it's in VF already with corroded metal. And
Yeah.
like and so it is so hard to find a lot of these coins in high grade and problem free with good metal quality.
Mm.
Um,
Now,
and
do you usually look at European auctions for that specific collecting area?
oh
Is that
yeah,
yeah?
I'm looking in auctions in Spain. I've bought a number of coins here in the US too. I bought a good portion from my brother at World Numismatics.
Hmm.
And I bought stuff out of Steve Album auctions. I bought stuff out of Heritage auctions. I bought stuff out of our own auctions. I bought stuff out of C&G. I bought stuff out of Oreo Calico, Vico, Cayenne, Ibercoin, Tallery Fow, Solary Lock. Um, oh boy. Uh, I don't know if I should say this or not, but I bought a coin out of Roma.
Hey, I think we've all been there.
Yeah.
Was it from a collector, a distinguished collector predating 2005?
I don't even remember it. But
That's funny.
that was actually one of the first coins I bought for my Islamic collection. And the guy in that collection in that sale was actually a pretty good offering of Islamic Spain, and he had like four of the same date coin, but they were different die varieties, like different die pairings, and you could like the layout of the calligraphy was different. And I only discovered this later, but you can actually die link that year.
Hmm.
And it was actually a significant year historically
Hmm.
for that ruler. So I bought this coin because I thought it was really interesting that it was overstruck on another coin.
Hmm.
That's kind of par for the course for me, like
Yeah.
countermarks and overstrikes. I was like, why is it overstruck on something else? That's interesting. That's weird. You don't normally see that. Oh, okay. So I ended up buying it, and it's the Islamic calendar AH 321, and so that's like what is it 933 AD? I think it is,
Yeah.
and well, it turns out that Al Rahman III, that's the coin is name in, who was ruling from age 300 to 350. Well, 321 marked the year that he fully became the Caliph of Al Andalus, and he crushed all of his opposition.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So what I think happened, and you could die link all of those coins from that year, all the gold coins from that year, and there's muling of the punches or the muling of the dies, and they're all overstruck on other coins. So
Hmm.
what I think was going on was he was going around kicking people's butts, taking their coins and overstriking them, saying,
Nice.
"Hey, I'm the guy now."
Yeah. That's such a cool story.
Hey,
Yeah.
out of all of your Iberian collect coins,
Hmm.
what's the one coin that you say this is my coin? This is one I wouldn't want to part with, or this is my favorite. What
Oh,
coin would that be?
oh, this is a good one. So I'll send you a picture of this one
Yeah,
too.
sure. Definitely. We'll show it.
So it's actually a Portuguese coin, and it's a barbuda of Fernando First struck at Porto, the Porto Mint. And so I bought this coin right before the Majorca Congress, the IAPN Congress in Majorca, Spain, and I was in Porto. I was in a coin shop in Porto. I saw the coin in the guy's case. There was only two coins there at the time. I was like, "How much is that coin?" And he goes and grabs the other coin. I'm like, "No, no, no, the other coin." He goes, "Ah, the Barbuda." I was like, "Oh shit."
I saw you coming.
Yeah, he saw me coming from a mile away after that. And I look at it, I was like, "This is amazing. How much is it?" He's like, "Well, it's not really for sale." I'm like, what's the price?" So he tells me the price. I'm like, "Fine, I'll buy it." And he was like, okay." So he sells me the coin, and I'm just ecstatic about this coin. I'm looking at the coin, and then I have a day off, and I discovered because I was trying to go to coin museums and like see institutional collections, but the Money Museum in Porto had been shut down, like they closed it, and it's not open to the public anymore.
Hmm.
However, the Porto Mint, a 14th century mint, has been turned into a museum.
Wow.
So I took this coin that was struck at that mint on a tour of the mint.
Wow.
That's cool.
And so I I still have the museum ticket for the day with it. And I'm gonna when I go to sell the coin, when I go to sell the collection finally, it's going with that coin. Like this coin made a tour back at the mint, 400 600 years later. Like, yeah, that's definitely going with the coin.
Wow. That's so
Yeah.
neat. To me, if people are interested in Spain and Iberia early on, I really think that there's a series of Roman provincials with
Yep.
Augustus on them
Mhm.
that are extremely affordable and really well done. So
Hmm.
I would recommend definitely as a starting point for somebody that was interested, you can get a big name guy and it's pretty affordable and it's pretty neat artwork at that time. But there's a ton of coinage from Iberia. Obviously, the
Yep.
Hannibal coins and stuff like that, but the tons of lineage out of Spain. Obviously changed hands a number of times. Just really
Yep.
interesting stuff.
Well, even the ancient Iberian stuff, the stuff that is like, I guess would fall under the Greek category because it's not Roman.
Right.
Mhm.
Um,
What are those called? Obolos? I
Mhm.
actually have one. It's a big giant, like an AS or almost a Sestertius, with kind of interesting artwork on the obverse, and then like a horse on the reverse or something like
yep.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are really
There,
neat.
there is, there's a ton of really interesting coins. A lot of them are really crude.
Hmm.
Um, and typically like the quality is not that great because they're just crude. Like we were talking about earlier with the Visigoths, just crude manufacture, crude style.
Mhm.
Um, The ancient stuff's actually better styled than the later Visigoths.
Yeah, that's
Still
true.
crude though. It's still crude.
Yeah.
Um, Now that stuff is really hard to get in grade. Like
Oh yeah, for
really,
sure.
really hard to get in high grade.
Mhm.
That's right.
Um, I mean, on some of the really common stuff, like little silver coins, you can get nice AU coins. And even maybe a few mint state coins of them. But oftentimes the best you could hope for is a nice VF with good metal quality. No one's monkeyed with the surfaces, no one's smoothed it, no one's tooled.
Right.
Just get a nice wholesome VF, and you're looking at like $100.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's not super rare, and even the high grade stuff. Oh, okay, so that's like $400.
yeah.
So there's not a huge
Very
price
affordable.
disparity. Yeah.
That's right. Well, let me ask you one more question before we let you go. You're obviously a guy that you can just tell by the way that you talk, very high attention to detail. Obviously, spend a lot of time under the microscope and in books. And I ask this of all of our guests: is if you have recommendations for a new collector or somebody that's just getting into this, what is it that you would recommend to them as somebody who's been on the inside looking out for so long?
Talk to people. Talk
Mhm.
to other collectors, build camaraderie with people, start building relationships and bouncing ideas off people. Now, aside from that, buy a few books, find a series of coins that you like, that you find interesting, build a connection with what you're collecting until you know better, until you know coins. Because if you're just a total novice and you're getting into it out of nowhere, find something that you can make a connection with and build off that. Don't just buy it willy nilly because everybody's buying the same thing. Who cares? Who cares if everybody else is buying the same thing? I don't. I collect things that I like. I don't really care if anybody else likes them. I mean,
That's
I've
true.
studied coins and discovered things about coins that I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. Nobody cares until they know about it. Um, I mean, for example, when I was at the IAPN Congress in Majorca, I was sitting next to, um, oh, not not Christoph. It was Dieter.
Dieter, yeah.
Dieter Gorney. And somehow we got on he brought up Landau Clippies. I was like, oh, did you know? And then I started, and I was like, did you know that you can actually, if you looked at a Landau Clippy, you can tell in what order they put the stamps on. I was like, also, it comes in two varieties, one with stops and one without stops. And he looks at me, he goes, who knew someone from California would know about Landau Clippies? Man, next time I see you, I'm going to have to come up with something really hard. I was like, oh, damn it.
That's terrible.
So it's, buying some books, a lot of people, it's like, oh, buy the book before you buy the coin. You don't have to. Talk to people, find something you like and learn. You're going to make mistakes along the way. Everybody does. I've certainly made mistakes. I mean, I've lost thousands of dollars on coins, but I've also made thousands of dollars on coins as well. That's part of the fun. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to think something's better than it actually is. You're going to misinterpret something. Learn from it. Don't get discouraged. Just learn from it. Be better. Make yourself better. Learn, share your knowledge, and knowledge will get shared with you. I'm very open with information. Someone comes to me and has a question, I'm more than happy to help, talk to them about their coins. And, I had a collector show me a coin one time. I was like, oh, that's really cool. It's even cooler, and not even for the reason that you think it is. and I broke it down for him, and he goes, oh, that is way cooler than I thought it was. And, so studying coins, like I do it for a living and as my occupation, as my career. I also do it for fun, like a sicko. So I eat, drink, and sleep coins. Sometimes I get up in the middle of the night because I've got something floating around in my head and I have to write it down or I'm going to forget about it. And, it's kind of a sickness,
but a good one. A good one that makes you healthier, right?
Yeah, makes you smarter.
That's it. Well,
hey, Josh. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say thank you so much for coming on and taking your time today and chatting with us and sharing with us about stacks and all of the offerings that your company there offers and talking about some cool coins with us today.
Sure. So. Can I mention one more cool coin?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So this one's an ancient coin. Shoot. It was a Judea capta, not a Judea capta. It was overstruck on a Judea capta. It was one of the Jewish shekels from the war, oh God. I think it was the Bar Kokhba revolt. It was the 5 years where they had the shekels. And it was a shekel that was overstruck on a Judea capta. So, yeah.
Wow.
It was pretty cool.
That's neat. That's got to be one of a kind.
Well, the shekels are overstruck on other coins, and sometimes you can make them out. This one, we were just fortunate enough to figure out that it was over a Judea capta. I mean, wow. Man, very that's ironic. Like that's the Jews saying, like, up yours, Rome.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So,
well, I really appreciate you coming on, Kyle. Thank you so much for sharing all your stories. I believe if you want to look up consignments or find a good home for consigning your inventory, certainly Stacks Bowers is one of the best on the planet for handling and auctioning coins. Kyle is an excellent representative for them. I think he can be reached at kponterio@stacksbowers.com. Is that correct or close?
It was close. It was KY Ponterio. So
KY,
it's the first two letters of my name. Yeah.
Put it on
the first
screen.
2 letters of my name. Yeah.
So
and
if you have any,
my last name, all one word.
If you have any questions about that or countermark coins or anything, don't be shy. Kyle is around. We saw him at the ANA. Are you going to Fun, Kyle, or are you not?
I haven't decided yet. I went last year, and so I may or may not go again this year. I probably will, but I don't know yet.
Well, me and
It's so
Josh, we have a table, and I think we're by the toilets. So if you want to look for, no, it's not true, but we will have a table. So if you do come, and then I always recommend that to people who go to these shows and watch the podcast. Always reach out. Always don't be afraid to say hi. You're going to learn something from everyone you talk to. And Kyle is no exception. A fantastic ambassador for ancient coins and coinage. And we're really glad that you got to be on the show today.
Ah, perfect. Thanks for having me, guys. Dean,
Excellent.
Josh, you guys are awesome.
Thanks, man. And we look forward to talking to you again soon. All right. Welcome back, everybody. That was a fantastic interview. Again, we really want you guys to get to know the people in the industry so you know who to reach out to. A lot of these corporations and bigger companies are not, it doesn't come necessarily with an easy guide on how to do these things. So it's important that you, one, understand who to talk to, and two, understand how auction houses work, what kind of terms you'll get, all of those kind of things, which are very important. And not everybody has time to read all the bylines and all the crazy legalese. So why not put these guys on and let them explain exactly what the deal is so you can understand. And so we're grateful to Kyle. Thanks for an amazing interview.
Yeah.
Josh, what do you got for us?
Well, I have an idea that I'd love to share with everybody and have them reach out to us, actually. We shared our favorite coin of the year in the beginning of this episode. And so now we'd love to give you the opportunity to share your coin of the year. So what we'd love for you to do is if you can email us, our email address is, Dean?
ancientcoinhour@gmail.com.
ancientcoinhour@gmail.com. So send an email to that with a picture if you would like, and a description of your favorite coin of 2024. It could be something you purchased. It could be something you didn't purchase. Sometimes something that you saw on an auction that was a coin that you loved and it was your favorite. So just send it to us, and we'd love to share it with everybody in a short video toward the end of this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the plan to me is that we get as many submissions, and I'll put together some reels, and we'll celebrate, the listeners, their coin collection or their favorite coins of 2024. It's worth looking at. We certainly didn't see all the coins, and you guys have very good vision as to what's out there. So, if you see something, share with us. We'd love to have you participate, and we'll probably even throw your name up in the reel so we can brag about you
if you want.
Participate. Yeah, that's right. If you want.
Of course.
Anyway, so we have that. Remember, it is Ancient Coin Hour.
ancientcoinhour@gmail.com.
That is correct. Well, and then after that, we're wrapping up essentially for the year. We will see you in Florida the second week of January.
Mm-hmm.
We will be very happy to have you. Please come by the desk. I'm going to try to have more mints like I had at A&A. And both Josh and I will be there with open hands, ready to give you a handshake and talk ancient coins with you. So make sure you drop by and say hello. Josh, you got any words of wisdom for the...
I do have a word of wisdom. May 2025 be a year where you uncover the wisdom of ancient coins. Coins, they're stories, they're small, but they're priceless. And so we wait to reveal the lessons of resilience, legacy, and timelessness, and a powerful community going into 2025.
It's beautiful, Josh. Thank you. Inspirational.
I know, right?
I don't have any words of wisdom other than I have to go to the bathroom. So I will. We will see you
with Dean. Having to go.
Make sure you like and subscribe and continue to listen in as we continue to post more content. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.
Absolutely.